Today we're going to be covering the section on linear regression. What exactly is linear regression? Linear regression is used to determine if there is a linear relationship between two different variables. So therefore, for today's section, we're going to be doing or dealing with bi-variate data, meaning what is going to happen? I'm going to be able to input x and y variables. Today for our session, we're going to be using the Casio fx-82ZA Plus calculator. What we need to do firstly is make sure that we are in the correct mode of our calculator. The first thing we need to do, press your mode button. What you will notice is we need to go into stats. So I'm selecting option number 2, stats. Now what you will see is we are needing to go into option number 2, your A plus BX, because we now have bivariate data. So I am selecting option number 2, A plus BX. What you will now see on your screen is you have two empty columns where you are going to need to input your values or your data. Let us have a look at our example that we are going to be covering today. Example number 1 says, in this example, we will look at the age of an appliance in months and its maintenance cost in rands. So we have got here our x values, our age of our appliance, and our y values, our cost of maintenance to us. Step number 1 that we're going to follow is we're going to need to input all our x values first. So let's have a look at our calculator. In order to enter our values, we're going to do the following. 5 equals 10 equals 15 equals 20 equals and 30 equals. Now that we have entered our x values, our step number 2 is to go back and to input our y values. In order to do this, I'm going to take a shortcut. I'm going to use my down arrow on my replay button. The reason I'm doing this, it's going to take me directly to the top, instead of me sitting there and going up, 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 up. Okay, I've now entered my x values. I need to go across into my column for my y values. Let's now enter our y values. 90 equals 140 equals 250 equals 300 equals and 380 equals. Now that we have entered our data, something that we need to do before we continue on is step number 3 over here, where it says to us, remember to always go back and check that the data that you have entered is correctly entered onto your calculator. And what I mean by that is my data that I have been given needs to match up to what I have got on my calculator. So let us do a double check. 5 and 90. 10 and 140, 15 and 250, 20 and 300, 30 and 380. If at some point you have made a mistake when entering your data, the easiest way to correct this is to have a look at where your block is highlighted. You've got that black block around it. Let's say, for example, my y value should have been 100. All you are going to do is change that. 100 equals, and there you will notice it would have changed our value. So just to go over it again, I don't want 100, I am wanting 90. So my block is highlighted. I am going to change that to 90 and press equals. Okay, so now that I have checked that all my data is correct and I am happy with it, we can move on to step number 4. Okay, we are going to repeat this step time and time again during this session. I'm going to press AC. Don't panic. Your work has not disappeared. Shift. And if we have a look above number 1, it says to me stat. And that is what we are doing. We are doing linear regression, which is a form of statistics. So I'm going to press option number 1. What we are now faced with is our stats menu. Okay, in previous lessons we have covered this menu over here, but what you will notice now is option number 5 says to me REG. That REG stands for regression. We're wanting to do linear regression, so we're going to move on to step number 5, which says to me choose option number 5, regression. So I am selecting option number 5. Okay, now comes another menu. Let's have a look and let me explain to you what each of these stands for. Option number 1 is our A. A means our regression coefficient of A. So if we are needing to find our y-intercept or our value of A, which we're going to need for our line of best fit, we are going to select option number 1. Option number 2 is B. What is B? B is my regression coefficient of B, or in simpler terms, what is my B value? Option number 3 we see is R. R is very, very commonly asked question. What is my correlation coefficient? Option number 4 is going to be my estimated X value, and option number 5, an estimated Y value. Okay, so basically this here is all we are going to need for any of our linear regression questions that we are faced with. Let us continue. Often they're going to ask us to represent our data that was given to us by means of a scatter plot. A scatter plot is just going to make it easier for us to understand exactly what is taking place. It's already going to give us tips, tricks, and clues as to how we are going to answer certain questions. So here you can see I have my scatter plot. The relationship between the age of an appliance in months and its maintenance cost in rands. So on my x-axis, I've got my age of my appliance in months, and up my y-axis, I've got my maintenance cost in rands. I have already plotted my points on my scatter plot, and that is what I have come up with. So there already we can see the direction that our graph is going to be moving in, and we have an idea already of what the relationship is going to be like between our x and our y values. Let's look at some questions now. over here, A says to me, calculate the correlation coefficient of this data. Let's look a bit deeper before we go into this and explain a little bit about what is a correlation coefficient. Okay, a correlation coefficient is going to tell us two different things. The first thing it's going to tell us is the strength of our correlation. Okay, so we want to know, is it strong correlation? Is it a weak correlation? And the next thing the correlation coefficient is going to tell us is the direction my line of best fit will be going in. Now, I mentioned about strong and weak relationships. How do we know if something is going to be strong or if it is going to be weak? So, once we have calculated our R value or our correlation coefficient, we're going to notice that our answer is going to be either greater than or equal to -1 or less than equal to +1. The closer your R value is to 0, the weaker the linear relationship is going to be. The closer it is to negative or +1, the stronger the relationship is going to be. Now, I know that all sounds a little bit confusing right now because we haven't calculated our correlation coefficient, and I'm going to, during the course of this lesson, show you an easier way of explaining exactly what I have just told you. So, let's go on and answer the question. Calculate the correlation coefficient of this data. We are going to be looking at our correlation coefficient, so we are looking at option number 3, R. I am going to select option number 3. It now tells us what are we finding. We are wanting to find our correlation coefficient, so our R value, and all you are going to do is press equals. And there we have our answer. R is going to equal 0.9799724846. Okay, sometimes they will tell you to round off to 2 decimal places. In this situation, I'm going to keep it at that. So our R value is actually going to be 0.98. Okay, what does this mean to me? Okay, often they're going to ask us now, after calculating your correlation coefficient, they're going to say to us, now tell me or explain the relationship or the correlation between my data. So they are asking, is it going to be weak or is it going to be strong? Is it going to be positive or is it going to be negative? So if we have a look, we have got 0.98 as an answer. An easy way to recognize this is, if I take 0.98 and I convert this into a percentage, what is my answer going to be? I'm going to come up and see that my answer is going to be 98%. Now, if you have got 98% chance of something happening, you are therefore going to be very strong. So, if we have a look at this, how would I answer that question? What is my correlation? My correlation is going to be a strong positive correlation. Okay, where did I get the positive from? 0.98 is our positive 0.98, so therefore it is a positive correlation. It is a strong correlation because it is closer to 1. Or if we use the shortcut that I've showed you, we've got a 98% chance of this event taking place. So therefore, a strong positive correlation. Let's move on to another question. Okay, to do further regression calculations, we are always going to follow the sequence. AC, shift, 1, and because we are still doing regression, we are going to look at option number 5. So every time you want to go back into your regression menu, AC, shift, 1, and option number 5. Let us have a look now at how we can answer the following. Calculate the line of best fit. Now, in order to calculate a line of best fit, I'm going to need 2 different values. I'm going to need my A value, and I'm going to need to calculate my B value. So let's have a look. How am I going to go about doing this? Very, very simply, I turn to my calculator and I say, okay, I want to work out my A value, option number 1. And all you are going to do from there is press equals. So quite simply, if we put this together, what is my A value? My A is going to be 40. Let's have a look now, because that is our A value. So we've got y equals 40 plus bx. Let's now work out our B value. In order to do this, AC, shift, and 1. We want regression, option 5. And we are wanting our B value, so we are going to select option number 2 in our regression menu. Option number 2 brings up our B. All we are going to do, press equals, and B equals 12. Alright, now what we need to do is we need to put all of this together, because we've got 2 answers kind of floating around at the moment. So what is the equation for the regression line, or our line of best fit? Our line of best fit is always going to be put as follows. Y equals A plus BX. So therefore, we can put all of our values together because we have calculated our A value. We have calculated our B value. So therefore, our line of best fit is Y equals 40 plus 12x. Okay, that there is our line of best fit. Y equals 40 plus 12x. Let's move on. Once you have calculated your A and your B values, we can go on and look at our estimated values of X and Y. So what we are going to be dealing with now is either extrapolation or interpolation. And I know these words sound very, very confusing right now, but let's break them up. Let me explain to you the difference. If I have something that is extra, I have more than. So when I am dealing with extrapolation, okay, it is going to be dealing with values that are outside of my data set that was given. If I am dealing with interpolation, inter means inside. So interpolation meaning I'm dealing with values that are going to be given inside my data set. So extra is outside my data set, inter is inside my data set. So let's have a look at this question here. C asks us, what will the maintenance cost be if the appliance is now 25 months old? Remember that when we are doing this, we are only going to be finding estimated X and Y values, depending on what the question is asking. Okay. To do this, we are going to do the following. AC, shift 1, back into option 5, our regression menu. And now let's have a look at the question. What will the maintenance cost be if my appliance is 25 months old? So if we think back, we have been given our age of our appliance. We are needing to find out our cost of fixing this appliance, or our maintenance cost. So we have been given our X value, which means we are needing to calculate or work out our Y value. So we are wanting an estimated Y value. So I am now going to go in and select option number 5. Okay, as it stands, all we are asking our calculator is we are saying we are dealing with our estimated Y value. But we got told extra information. We got told we have got our appliance which is 25 months old. Yeah, we now need to tell our calculator this information. So therefore, I'm going to use my replay button to move myself in front of that estimated Y. And I'm going to tell my calculator, my appliance is 25 months old. Okay? I am wanting to know, I don't know, what my rand value for my maintenance cost is going to be. So what this is asking our calculator, if it is 25 months old, what will my maintenance cost be? And all we are going to do from here is press equals. And what this is telling us, if my appliance is 25 months old, my maintenance cost is going to be 340 Rand. Okay. So therefore, if my appliance is 25 months old, it will cost me approximately 340 Rand to maintain. Let's move on. Okay, question D asks us, draw in the line of best fit onto the scatter plot. So remember at the beginning we had the scatter plot. Now we are needing to take or work out our line of best fit. So in order to draw a straight line, because I say it's a straight line because we are dealing with linear regression, okay, linear meaning a line, all we are needing are going to be two different coordinates. We already have one coordinate or one set of coordinates that we have worked out, because you must remember we calculated our A value or our regression coefficient of A, and this value here is going to tell me my y-intercept of my graph. So we calculated that A was equal to 40. So therefore, I already have the coordinate 0 is to 40. Now I need to find a second set of coordinates. The easiest way to find the remaining coordinates are to find my mean x and my mean y values. And I know this sounds all very complicated right now, but let me take you through it step by step. Open up our calculator, AC, shift, and number 1. What we are going to be looking at now is option number 4, because we are wanting to go in and find out our variances. So I am going into option number 4, VAR. When I have a look at this menu over here, it looks quite complicated. In previous sessions, we have gone over and discussed what all of these things have meant to us. But for today's lesson, we are going to be focusing on option number 2, our mean x value, and option number 5, our mean y value, because this here is going to give us an x coordinate and a y coordinate. Let's have a look. How am I going to do this? We are needing to calculate our x, or our mean x value. So we are going to select option number 2 first. Because remember, when we are doing coordinates, we always want to try and work as best as possible x values first, y values come next. So up comes our little sign or symbol, and it's saying to me, what is my mean value of x? All I need to do in this situation is press equals. And you will find your x, or your mean x value, is going to come up and be 16. Let's do the same for our y, but in order to do this, AC, shift, number 1. Remember, we are going into option 4, our VAR, variances. So option 4. I am needing to calculate or work out my estimated y value, so I'm looking at option number 5. All I'm going to do, your calculator's waiting for you to say, what is my estimated y value equal to? So we press equals, and up it comes at 232. So now I have another set of coordinates. I have now got 16 and 232. So I have got 2 different sets of coordinates. I can use these to plot my line of best fit, or draw in my line of best fit. So what are the coordinates that I have got? I've got my y-intercept, 0, 40. And I've got my mean, or my average, x and y values, 16 and 232. Let's have a look. How am I going to use this? Okay, if we go back to our scatter plot, I'm going to go 0 and 40. And I'm going to plot my point over there. So it is going to be on my y-axis because it is a y-intercept. Okay, please remember, it's not going to go through the y-axis. It's going to stop on the y-axis itself. And our next coordinates are going to be 16 and 232. So we're going to find where is 16, and we're going to go up, and we're going to mark it as 232. Okay, what I have done, I have gone from my y-intercept, I have gone through my points, 16 and 232, and I've just extended my line through, because remember, our line of best fit needs to go as far as possible, or as best as possible, because it's a line of best fit, covering all my data set that was given. So I wanted to go through everything that we have plotted already. So that there is how I'm going to go in and draw my line of best fit. What two things am I using? I am using my y-intercept, or my a value, and I have calculated my mean x and my mean y value. I have then taken those points and I have plotted them, so my y-intercept and my mean x and my mean y values, and all I have done is extended my line so that it covers through all my data sets. Alright, that brings me to the end of this video. Basically, we have covered our entire linear regression session. So if I go back, AC shift 1, option number 5, we have learned how to calculate our A value, or our y-intercept. We have learned to calculate our B value. I need, remember, my A and my B value to calculate my line of best fit. I have also covered calculating option number 3R, my correlation coefficients. Remember, a correlation coefficient is going to tell us about a relationship that our data set has got. So the relationship, is it strong or is it weak? Is it positive or is it negative? I have also discussed with you and explained to you how to do interpolation and extrapolation. So dealing with a chance or a probability or estimated x and y values. So I hope that there covers everything that you have needed for today's lesson. Should you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. Thank you very much for your time, and have a great day further.